The Giza Plateau, a marvel of the ancient world. For thousands of years, it has stood as a testament to the...
We are told these are tombs, monuments of stone and human labor. But is that the full story? Or is there evidence of something else? A profound knowledge, a lost technology. The Great Pyramid alone is a mathematical marvel, aligned to true north with pinpoint accuracy.
An alignment so precise, modern engineers would be challenged to replicate it. How did a Bronze Age society achieve this? Its 2.3 million blocks, some weighing over 80 tons, are fitted together with a precision we can barely match.
In many places, not even a razor blade can fit between the joints. This is not the work of simple hand tools. The mainstream story involves vast armies of laborers, wooden sleds, and enormous ramps. But the logistics of such a ramp defy logic. It would be a greater engineering feat than the pyramid itself. Inside, the mystery deepens. The king's chamber is lined with massive granite beams, quarried from Aswan, over 500 miles to the south. Each beam weighs as much as a modern locomotive. How were they transported and then lifted with such perfect placement, hundreds of feet in the air?
Today, this would require a fleet of heavy lift cranes. The Egyptians had ropes and logs.
These glaring questions are just the beginning. The anomalies at Giza are a gateway to a much deeper puzzle. A puzzle that hints at a level of technology far beyond anything we've been told. What if the ancient Egyptians inherited knowledge from an even older, lost civilization?
What if the clues are not just in the stone, but on the stone and carved?
Join us as we investigate the impossible artifacts and lost technologies of ancient Egypt.
Our journey begins in the subterranean darkness of Saqqara.
At a site that defies all conventional explanations, the Serapeum.
The lost technologies of ancient Egypt.
Deep beneath the desert at Saqqara, a network of tunnels was carved from the solid bedrock.
This is the Serapeum. Officially, it's a burial site for sacred Apis bulls.
But what we find here are not simple coffins. They are 25 massive, megalithic boxes.
Each is carved from a single block of solid Aswan granite, or diorite. And they are finished with a stunning, glass-like polish. But the real mystery is not their size. It's their precision.
Engineers have measured these boxes and found them to be perfectly flat, to within thousandths of an inch.
The internal corners are cut to perfect 90-degree angles. This is not craftsmanship. This is machining. Mainstream archaeology tells us these were built in the New Kingdom, using copper chisels and stone pounders.
But granite is one of the hardest stones on Earth. Copper is a soft metal. It's like trying to cut a steel beam with a plastic knife.
The lids are cut from the same single block of granite and fit so perfectly that they create an airtight seal.
Strangely, the hieroglyphs later carved onto the surface are crude, almost graffiti-like. A stark contrast to the perfect, high-tech finish of the box itself.
Researcher Christopher Dunn has argued that this level of precision is impossible without advanced machinery. He suggests this is evidence of high-speed, machine-tooled manufacturing, ending in the ancient past.
But if so, where are the machines? Where are the tools?
Then there is the problem of transport. These 100-ton monoliths were quarried 500 miles away in Aswan and somehow navigated through the narrow, twisting tunnels of the Serapeum.
And placed into their alcoves with just inches of clearance. The feat seems utterly impossible.
When the Serapeum was discovered in 1850, explorers had to use dynamite to get into one of the boxes. What did they find inside? Nothing. No bull, no mummy.
This has led to other theories. Were these boxes tombs at all? Or were they built for another purpose?
Some speculate they were resonant chambers, designed to generate or store energy.
The official story claims they were for Angus bulls, but the evidence points to a technology that is completely out of place.
Even today, quarrying and polishing a 100-ton box of granite to this precision would be a multi-million-dollar project.
The idea that this was done with stone balls and copper saws is, for many, simply unbelievable. We see tool marks that don't look like pounding. They look like high-speed scoops, removing large amounts of hard stone.
As if the stone was softened or cut with a technology we don't yet understand.
Auguste Mariette, the site's discoverer, was himself baffled.
The Serapeum presents us with a stark choice. Either our ancestors were capable of superhuman feats,
Or they had help in the form of a technology that has been lost to time. And the evidence for this lost technology isn't just in Saqqara. All over Egypt, we find bizarre, perfectly circular drill holes, even in the hardest granite. The official tool is the bow drill, a simple hand tool that rotates a copper tube with an abrasive, like sand. But the drill holes tell a different story. They contain spiral grooves, or striations. These grooves show what's called a feed rate, how fast the drill cut into the stone with each rotation.
Analysis suggests a feed rate so high that it would be 500 times greater than what a simple bow drill could ever achieve.
This feed rate implies enormous, steady pressure and high-speed rotation. In short, a power tool.
We also see drill cores that are tapered, meaning the drill cut faster at the outside than the inside.
And the grooves themselves are so fine, they are sometimes only visible with a microscope. This is the signature of a modern, high-tech, ultrasonic, or diamond-tip drill. Recreations using the official methods have failed to replicate this precision. They are slow, wobbly, and cannot cut granite.
They even drilled diorite, a stone nearly as hard as diamond. So what machine-like power source were the ancient Egyptians using? Why is this technology never depicted in their art?
Or did they find these artifacts, remnants of an older, far more advanced civilization?
And simply build around them, claiming them as their own? A civilization that predates the pharaohs by thousands of years? The evidence of water erosion on the Sphinx enclosure suggests it is far older than we think.
Dating back to a time before the desert, when Egypt received massive rainfall.
Could the Serapeum boxes be from this same, lost epoch?
Questions are profound. But the anomalies don't stop here.
To see the sheer scale of this lost technology, we must travel south to the source of the granite itself, the Aswan Quarry. Here, lying in its bedrock cradle, is a monument to impossible ambition.
It is known as the unfinished obelisk.
If completed, it would have stood 137 feet tall and weighed nearly 1,200 tons.
That is the weight of 3 Boeing 747 airplanes, carved from a single piece of stone.
It was abandoned, we are told, because a fatal crack appeared in the granite.
The official explanation for how it was carved? Workers, thousands of them, pounding the granite with dolerite balls.
But look at the trenches. They are narrow, barely wide enough for a person to stand in.
How could workers generate the incredible force needed to pulverize hard granite in such a cramped space?
And the tool marks on the limestone, they don't look like pounding. They look like scoops.
As if a giant machine, with a massive cutting head, simply scooped the granite away like it was soft clay.
These dolerite balls are offered as the tools, but they are the only tools. Is this a realistic explanation or a convenient theory?
The unfinished obelisk was abandoned, but many others were not.
At Karnak Temple, massive obelisks, weighing hundreds of tons, stand in perfect verticality. They were quarried in Aswan, finished with the same impossible precision, and transported over 150 miles upriver.
Historians propose they were loaded onto enormous barges, but the logistics of loading and unloading a 300-ton monolith,
without it capsizing the boat or shattering on the dock, is an engineering nightmare.
When a smaller obelisk, Cleopatra's Needle, was moved to New York in the 1880s.
It was a colossal engineering project, taking months and using advanced 19th century steam power and hydraulics.
The Egyptians, we are told, did it with ropes and manpower.
But the final step is the most baffling: erection. How do you lift a 300-ton, 100-foot-tall needle of stone
and pivot it perfectly onto a small base, without it shattering under its own weight?
The sand pit theory suggests they pulled it up a ramp and then lowered it into a pit filled with sand, slowly emptying the sand to lower it into place. This is pure speculation.
There is no evidence for such a method, and the control required would be immense. A single mistake, and the obelisk is lost.
And it wasn't just obelisks. Look at the Colossi of Memnon.
Two 720-ton statues, carved from a single block of quartzite, one of the hardest stones on the planet.
They were quarried near modern Cairo and transported 420 miles overland to Thebes.
720 tons. Overland. How many men would this take? How many logs? How many years?
At the Ramesseum, we find the shattered remains of a statue of Ramesses the Great.
Its estimated weight? 1,000 tons. A single piece of granite.
Today, moving a 1,000-ton object requires specialized, multi-wheeled transporters and specially constructed roads to support the weight.
The Egyptians would have had to do this across the soft, uneven desert sand.
The hieroglyphs show us gods and kings, battles and ceremonies.
But they never show us how they accomplished these impossible feats of engineering. Why?
Was the method a secret, known only to a priestly class?
theories sound like science fiction.
When the alternative is 10,000 men pulling a 1,000-ton block on a wooden sled?
The precision of the Serapeum boxes.
The machine-like grooves of the drill cores. The sheer weight of the megaliths.
All of it points to a disconnect, a gap in our understanding. But perhaps the most shocking clue is not carved in stone,
but in a dark, underground crypt at the Temple of Hathor.
Here, we find a relief that has baffled researchers for decades.
It is known as the Dendera Light.
What we see is undeniable. A large, clear bulb.
A filament in the form of a rattlesnake, extending from a lotus flower base. A cable runs from the bulb to a battery or power source. The Great Pillar. The object bears a striking resemblance to a Crookes tube, an early experimental light bulb.
The mainstream explanation is, once again, symbolic.
This is the god Harsanteros, a snake, being born.
But this theory fails to explain a simple, obvious fact.
The tombs and temples of Egypt are covered in complex, colorful paintings, even in the deepest, darkest chambers.
The only light sources available were, supposedly, primitive torches or oil lamps.
These would have produced massive amounts of black, oily soot.
Yet the ceilings at Dendera and in the tombs are pristine. There is no soot.
Archaeologists have proposed complex systems of polished mirrors, reflecting sunlight deep into the tombs.
But experiments show light intensity drops to almost zero after just a few reflections.
It's not a viable solution for the hundreds of feet of twisting, turning passages.
So, did the ancient Egyptians have a clean, electric light source?
Other cultures from the same period have also produced strange artifacts, like the Baghdad battery.
It's a simple clay pot that can generate an electrical current.
The Great Pillar itself, the power pack in the relief, has long been a mystery.
It looks uncannily like a modern electrical insulator.
Did the ancient Egyptians harness electricity?
The relief at Dendera seems to be screaming the answer.
It depicts figures holding these objects, working in the dark, with no other light source shown.
The braided cable is clearly shown connecting the device.
Mainstream science flatly rejects this. There is no evidence of wiring, of glass, of filaments.
But they also have no good answer for the soot-free problem.
Is it just a coincidence? A symbolic drawing that just happens to look exactly like a piece of modern technology?
Or is this a schematic, a blueprint hidden in plain sight for a technology they used?
To light their world and to create their masterpieces in the dark.
The Dendera light is, perhaps, the most compelling evidence of all.